What's going on, guys? Aarava here, and welcome back to the Pitlane podcast, episode number 40 today for our kind of Australia season preview podcast, really. We're going to give our predictions, round up a little bit of news. There are a few bits and bobs since the last time we had the podcast, and yeah, as I said, we're going to have an Australia prediction for that one race specifically, and then more of an overall season world champion constructors prediction, and then, it'll be nice to look back on it, this time, all the way in November and see how wrong we are, like we were last time, last season. But you're joined with your usual hosts of the podcast, myself, Callum, and Tom. So, I don't know, do you want to start off with the predictions straight away and then kind of round up the news? Do you want to get it straight away?
We can get the new... Yeah, so, let's go.
Yeah, I think we can just get the predictions out of the way. So, do you want to start off with... I think we'll start off with the Australia race itself, the specific race. We've got a top 5 finish and pole position. So, I don't know, do one of you two want to go first with your pole position?
I feel
we'll go poles, and then we'll do top 5.
I think with pole position specifically, all three of us could actually say it on a countdown, I think. I want to say...
Well, like Strut to Glory.
Yeah, but I'll kick it off, I guess. But I've gone for Lewis Hamilton as my pole prediction pick for Australia.
Okay. I've
gone for Lewis Hamilton as well.
Right. Okay. So I'm the odd one out here.
Really?
I'm sticking as much as I'm a Hamilton fan. I'm sticking hope in Ferrari this season, and I've put Kimi Räikkönen as pole position.
Oh. Okay.
Just gonna throw that one in the bag.
That one in under pressure. For pole position, okay. So top 5 then. So right, either Hamilton or Räikkönen on pole, and then race gets underway, brand new era, new season.
I think this will trickle in quite nicely with our pole prediction. So, the winner of the Australian Grand Prix 2017 is going to be Kimi Räikkönen, followed by Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Valtteri Bottas, and Daniel Ricciardo.
Okay,
that's exactly the same as mine. Apart from Verstappen being in 5th instead of Ricciardo.
Your team order is the exact same as mine. I went for Vettel off the line. I think he's going to mince Hamilton off the line. Hamilton 2nd, Raikkonen 3rd, Bottas 4th, and then I said Verstappen 5th.
Well, there's something about the start line procedure that I've read about Mercedes this week, which we'll talk about in the news later on.
Yeah,
which will make it interesting.
It's a very interesting thing, but I still think that probably, I'm picturing it in my mind that I think a Ferrari's going to be blitzing forward into turn 1.
So, me and Carl predicting Kimi resurgence.
Yeah. Well,
you two,
I'll be honest here. I think we've all got the same sort of idea, but I genuinely think they look better than last year, and it shouldn't be too hard to replicate what they've done last year. Literally, all they've got to do is a carbon copy of 2016, but just not bottle the strategy, and they're golden. So,
well,
they were 1-2 at one point last year. So
we might be looking quite stupid here predicting Kimi Räikkönen to win, and maybe putting Räikkönen on pole. But the only reason I've gone Räikkönen instead of Vettel is because of just kind of the throwback in regs, in the same way with Massa.
Exactly.
With this resurgence, with going back to the old ways in 2000 and 2007 when there was so much downforce. Now we're returning back to that. I think Kimi Räikkönen is looking a lot more stronger. So, then again, we might look stupid and we might see a Mercedes 1-2.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. It's,
honestly, I have
literally all the videos that they've shown with Kimi. He's been like the way when he did the fastest lap of all of testing, he barely hit any apexes. It was a different way of driving the car, but a lot of people link that with the old-fashioned cars and how you could drive those without having the perfect lap. So, yeah, I completely agree with Cal there. I think the resemblance to a former car where he was much more competitive in will probably suit him a lot better. And also, this could be a case. So I'm just going to say it now in before Lewis Hamilton wins by 30 seconds in Australia. So, just going to let that out there. It could happen.
I don't know. I think anything's possible. I think, honestly, you could even see, 2 Red Bulls on the podium at this point. I just honestly have no clue. I chucked down a top 5, just happened to be the same team orders as you two, but I really can't call this. And that's a good thing. That's a really good thing, because I just don't know how much ground you put under all these claims that the Ferrari's looking real decent. I mean, yeah, it does look decent, but, we don't know how much Mercedes have sandbagged. We don't know how much Ferrari have sandbagged, to be fair, and then we just don't know Red Bull.
Helmut Marko seemed quite concerned, didn't he, with the sandbagging situation? So
yeah, but that's what I was coming to. Like Red Bull, we have no clue. Like they seem to be a little bit scared, really, about how well Ferrari and Mercedes have done, and
could they
also
be putting
Williams.
a double bluff?
Oh yeah, but
double
we
bluff.
just don't know with Red Bull. Yeah, they could just be doing the double. And
They'd be like,
going,
no, they're so quick. And then they turn up Australia. Oh, yeah, we're a second faster than all of you. Yeah, and some of that.
Just turn up like, oh yeah, we've got maximum grip. Just beat you by like 3/10 or something to pole. I just don't know.
Well, interestingly enough, we haven't factored Williams in at all. And I know they did say that they probably took a little bit more fuel out than other teams. You never know. Obviously, a street track, well, semi-street track that Albert Park is, probably won't suit Williams, which is probably why we haven't really factored them in. If the opening round of the season was Monza, then maybe we might have. But well, then again, if the opening round of the season was Monza, we might have probably put Red Bull a little bit higher.
Yeah.
But I don't know. A little bit inside of me thinks me putting Ricciardo outside the top 5 kind of hurts me a little bit. But you can only factor in so many people. But it's interesting.
I've really gone for the logic of Ricciardo is in his home race, so I think he will turn up. That's just my logic.
Yeah, maybe.
Behind it.
Very interesting, but we'll probably all be wrong. Prove wrong in about
probably
a week's
will
time.
be completely wrong.
So we then
so
move
in that
into the
in that
season?
case, should we go on to the overall season? Obviously, we're going to do World Champion, Constructors Champion, and then just the team order. So I think we'll just go in that order, really. So World Champion Constructors, obviously last season, I think it was me and Tom, wasn't it? I don't know about you, Cal. Me and Tom definitely got it completely wrong. We put all our faith into Hamilton, and then everything happened.
Oh,
So,
I think I predicted Hamilton as well. I think we all went wrong.
I think all of us got it pretty wrong. But on that note, I'm going for Hamilton World Champion, and I'm going for Mercedes Constructors Champion. I think that Ferrari are going to be good. They'll win races, I'm hoping. I really hope, and I think they will. But I still think the consistency of Mercedes will be there to overhaul.
Yeah, you've said it all for me.
Yeah, you've said on mine as well.
That scenario. I honestly, I would love for Ferrari to be right up there, but I just don't see it yet. I think this could be the building year where next year, if it's a good year, like I just said, they win a few races. Like I'm not talking like 2, I'm talking like 5, 6 races they win. If they can do that, I think then next year they are in with a shout of it. But I think this year will be a case of it looks a bit more red throughout the season, but at the very end of it, it's still a silver car at the top.
Yeah, I kind of made the prediction of maybe, because we're probably about to speak this in the news again, about Mercedes and slight concerns over the engines and the new engine that they've brought and all teams going to be using in Australia. I kind of felt like Mercedes going to kind of start off with a bit clunky, kind of accidentally put it into reverse, and then eventually they'll start to get going. But I have a feeling that just the pure Mercedes dominance will prevail over the season. I think with plenty of experience the past couple of years with strategy, obviously the tyres getting a little bit harder, so obviously strategy isn't that vital, but it is still obviously a vital factor in Formula 1.
I think we're looking way too much into the whole Mercedes are going to have issues. They haven't had a single problem over testing. Let's not forget that. I think it's just a case of, I think Ferrari would be more willing to be aggressive and challenge out of the blocks than Mercedes.
Yeah.
More than that, Mercedes will have issues or problems. I think it's just they'll want to be conservative, but
I think there's always that talks about Ferrari being a lot more focused, like on actual getting, like Tom said with the strategy thing, also getting the setup right. And I think in Australia, Ferrari may not even turn up with the best overall car, but I think they might be right there for the race win, because I think from what it seems like Mercedes, put on this new aero, didn't quite work how they want. They admitted that. They've also admitted that the engine configurations maybe not how they want at the moment. So I think it's a case of, I think Ferrari maybe know their package better inside out, so they can home in on the perfect setup for their car. Whereas I think Mercedes may be playing a bit of safe, sort of, if I put it in game terms, default setup sort of thing, and just trying to, use the performance to outweigh the setup changes.
Well, I've won the World Drivers' Championship with a default setup, so...
And that's how it's going to start. And I think eventually then Mercedes will definitely home in on it. I think it's just about how long that homing in period takes, in my view.
For Mercedes, I don't think it'll be very long, which is probably what we have put
like 4 or 5 races, maybe at max, I would say.
Well,
but talking about that,
so
we said World Champion Constructors. Now, do you want to go through the entire team order? So
I wonder who we've put in second.
We're doing all the constructors. from the top down. So I don't know. One of you
second place. 3, 2, 1.
Ferrari. Oh wow! What a surprise!
Third
well,
place.
no surprise there.
All right, third place. 3.
Red Bull.
2.
Red Bull.
Okay, Red Bull.
Just,
Okay,
nah,
fourth
straight
place.
out the
Now this
box.
one's interesting. This is where it gets you don't know.
This is
Fourth
where I
place
think we
down.
might say.
Okay, so let's all just read out the list. Like, so do you one of you two want to go first from 4th down?
I've gone 4.
You don't need a big.
You don't need this much.
It's only
Phil.
4th place.
It's a fucking prediction, mate.
Toro Rosso.
Oh wow!
All right, go on. Say the rest of your list.
Toro Rosso 4th.
Just
Williams 5th. Renault 6th. Force India 7th. Haas 8th. McLaren 9th. And Sauber 10th.
Right.
I
So
think our
yours
bottom
is
2 are
a
going to be
little
all the
different.
same.
Yeah. Well, my bottom 3 is the same as Tom's, but I when I was making these predictions, I was umming and ahhing about Force India because I put them quite low initially. But I thought, are they really going to drop off that much? And I was a little bit all over the place. But I thought Williams would get 4th, Toro Rosso just behind in 5th, then Force India, Renault not making as big of a step this year and only getting 7th, Haas 8th, McLaren 9th, and Sauber 10th.
I thought it would be Toro Rosso 4th, Force India 5th, Williams 6th, Renault 7th, Haas, McLaren, Sauber. I think Williams are going to start strong and they're going to be 4th for the opening rounds. And I think slowly Toro Rosso and Force India will catch back up to them and overtake them.
Toro Rosso, I think they've got a lot up their sleeve. They seem quite confident, quite happy with their power unit this year. Force India, for me, the reason I put them 7th is because, one, they've been disappointed with their car in testing, and they haven't seemed to have they haven't done any lap time that stood out or any moment in testing you sort of going, oh wow, they're still around, sort of thing. The most relevant thing they've done is change their car to pink. That doesn't mean they're going to be faster. So, they've been disappointed with the upgrades. You know, they said that the things haven't worked on the car so well. So I think they'll start off slow. But the thing with Renault is my logic placing them above them is because unlike last year, because they have a solid car that they've actually designed this year, they'll be more willing to invest and develop over the season. So they can pump in way more money than Force India can.
Yeah.
Good logic.
I mean, for me, my order, I think Force India and Williams are a little bit changeable there for me for 5th and 6th. But after what Hulkenberg said about them maybe not even scoring points for a lot of the season, that's why I thought just 7th, I think, ahead of Haas.
I'm not convinced of Renault.
Yeah, I'm just not there yet. I'm not there. I still think it's probably maybe a year until they get to that point where they think they should be now, just from what I've heard in interviews and stuff.
Feels like it's just been way too hyped up this year, especially with getting Hulkenberg involved and with the whole, like the build up to their car launch and what some of the important people said, saying that they're aiming for certain targets, and you kind of look at them going into Australia and you think, really? Can they actually do that?
Yeah,
and maybe
exactly.
they might make some sort of resurgence in the middle of the season, but I feel like that's not what even Renault want. I think they wanted to be faster from the get-go, and I think they've already below expectations, so I feel like the mood in Renault at the minute is still a little bit mild, and I don't think they're really happy. But with other teams, I think the moment Toro Rosso start to click is when they'll start to really ramp forward. It's just they're just going to keep the donkey in the back going for 56 laps, however long Australia is, because obviously with the reliability issues that they've had.
Yeah, I think it's just a case of sorting the reliability out, and then I think for them personally, it'll be fine tuning drag versus downforce, because I think that car is quite draggy at the moment. So I think they might need to take a few parts off and go the Red Bull way a little bit for certain circuits. I think other ones, obviously, their car hopefully will be quite good. And then I don't know. For Force India, I think, as I said, it's interchangeable with Williams. Because I do get that, it wasn't a brilliant testing, but at the same time, I just think they'll have that momentum swing where they've done it before, where they've started off with a pretty mediocre car, like halfway, and then they've, slow just, little bits here and there, and they've ramped it up, and they've been able to have that performance over Williams.
Yeah. I mean, we can't forget, now that Palo's there, he's done magic wherever he's gone. However, I feel like it's too late to have an impact really this season. So
he's coming
he would have to have a year in the team. Same way, I think James Allison won't have a major impact at Mercedes this season. So with that being said, I think Toro Rosso will trump Williams just because I think Williams will be looking towards next season because they have hired a lot of staff. I think they're going to want Stroll to get a year of experience underneath him. I just feel like this is going to be a learning curve to try and build towards next year and try and make something happen next year. I think they look good in principle because they've got a good solid foundation under their car, which should hopefully get them through. I think it's like what you said, Arif. Their car will get them through like the first half of the season decently, but then they'll start to struggle sort of thing in the second half of the season.
Yeah, because their car
I think Toro Rosso look good. That's why they're going to trump them. I purely think they showed a few decent lap times to sort of show their cards a little bit towards the end. And, you know, the best looking car on the grid should hopefully mean an increase in performance if you're going to be that ambitious. So I think I would like to see them go fourth, and who knows, maybe even on the odd occasion upset Red Bull a little bit, just for a bit of interesting storyline telling.
I think Williams' car is just 2016 a little bit evolved, so I think they'll start off better. I think that's my logic, that they'll just start off better because they haven't, like, Force India have tried something ambitious, Toro Rosso have tried something ambitious, Williams have not. They've just evolved their car to the 2017 rules, so I think they'll actually be in a better place at the start, but then they'll just fall away a little bit towards the end. It's
simple logic. Toro Rosso pretty much made a car that is a carbon copy to Mercedes, if not this season, then from last season in terms of how it looks and aero-wise. So, there's the world champions last year, so
can't
logic would dictate.
I mean, there's still the engine, though. There's still the engine, and it's not a carbon copy. There are bits.
Yeah, but we know this: a factory 2017 brand new spanking Renault power unit, which is supposedly much improved than last year, is much better than the 2015 Ferrari power unit they had last year.
Yeah, we know that. So relative, but I think that's getting a bit far fetched to think they're going to like get really up there. I think it's. I think they're.
Well, I mean, we can't forget Red Bull still have one, so it can't be that much of a handicap.
Yeah, but I just don't. I think you're putting way too much into the fact it looks like a Mercedes car. I don't think it's that saying you can't just strap a Mercedes front wing onto a Red Bull front wing and it will go the same. I think it's...
No, of course not.
It looks similar. Yeah. The cars look similar, but there's obviously a lot of work that these top teams do underneath the car. There's a lot of bodywork underneath that you don't get to see. That's probably very simplistic compared to top teams.
Just the route that they've taken is just similar to Mercedes, but
yeah, with the nose and everything.
What made me laugh is I think we're not got much hope within McLaren or Sauber. Sauber we've all put last.
Well, Sauber
can't see them going anywhere, to be honest.
Depressingly bad in testing.
They're very slow, aren't they? Very slow.
Yeah, and then McLaren, well, that's part of the news, I guess, roundup of this week of, coming out and saying, we're looking at different engines, looking at the Mercedes engine, perhaps. There was that whole unfortunate tweet they put out yesterday with, it was an article about...
Is it a car?
Yeah, no. It was an article, but there was a picture with the article. But the article was just basically talking about 2017 and how the cars this year are sort of like a blend of old cars. And the picture they used, the engine cover blend part was a McLaren Mercedes engine cover.
Yeah,
yeah.
So it was unfortunate.
And that was actually the main
PR
part
people.
as well. Like the biggest part of the cutout was that. The rest of it had old parts, but the main bit was like.
The only new McLaren Honda part was like the end of the end plate of the rear wing, like a tiny bit of the inlet to the engine, and like the front of the car. So yeah, it was unfortunate PR. They deleted the tweet, so unfortunate.
Someone wasn't happy in Team McLaren about.
Team Honda
tweet.
More like.
Yeah, but it was, that's the thing, because all week we've seen different things like McLaren have been looking at Mercedes engines and saying, we'd win. We'd be up there if we had a Mercedes engine.
Yeah.
That doesn't put it past you in 2014 when you royally... Well, it was an year for them, but they weren't happy with that, obviously, so they wanted to be even more and be second worst team on the grid. And that still hasn't paid off, but more on that rant last podcast. But I'm not sure with McLaren, to be honest, because I feel like McLaren are just kind of sitting there waiting now. I think it's a waiting game.
They're just waiting for Honda to finally have a good engine.
And I don't see it anytime soon. I see a Mercedes engine in the back of that McLaren
let's just ignore the fact that Eric Brullier said that they would win races if they had a Mercedes power unit.
Yeah.
Like, bro, your chassis is not Mercedes. Get off your high horse. So,
realistically, where would that car be with a Mercedes engine in the back?
I think fourth.
Fourth, yeah.
Fourth.
Might be like very close to Red Bull, but fourth.
I don't think they'd be that close to Red Bull. I feel like they'd just be happily sitting there in upper midfield.
I think they'd be in no man's land in fourth, with comfortably ahead of the pack, but not near Red Bull.
Even
I think the power unit would just help them get a bit closer to Red Bull. Aero-wise, obviously Red Bull would smash them, but even then this year they've gone simplistic, so it's an interesting one.
It's very interesting.
Well, I guess this moves us on to just like the end of this podcast, kind of rounding up bits and bobs of news that have happened. So this has been one of them, the whole McLaren debate. There's obviously the different reports coming out with them. And then other kind of roundup news is, so one of them was more kind of to do with the media side of things, which me and Cal were just talking about briefly before, was a funny sort of little thing where Liberty Media called, I can't remember who it was, one of the three boss guys called out Baku. I didn't call them out, but kind of just slagged them off a little bit and said he was talking about strategy in F1 and building the brand, and he was like, races like Baku, don't do anything for us in terms of building it. I think he literally said Bernie Eccleston obviously came in and thought we can get a lot of money out of them, so we'll take the deal. And then Baku fired back with the organisers going, I think it was a bit ignorant of him to say that. And I'm just sat here like, what are you on? Like, are you smoking some good stuff? Because if you are, give it to me. Because Baku, it's just straight and just 90-degree corners. It's not a track.
It doesn't add. Well, it's interesting because when it comes to certain races,
a street circuit.
The thing is, new racers take years to kind of bring something to the sport in terms of culture, in terms of feel. I think we've discussed before about Kota. The first year felt weird because it was just too brand new. I think we like that old kind of rugged track feel. A worn-in track at least, which has a bit of character. And don't get me wrong, it's brilliant. Some street circuits going through the streets of different cities around the world, but there's a limit when it comes to street circuits in terms of it's got to be in. Well, I think drivers need to have a bit of an input when it comes to street circuits in terms of their layout, because Herman Tilke doesn't have a fucking clue at the minute. I think
at the moment, his latest tracks. I was looking at a map of the Baku circuit and the surrounding roads, and I'm not, I don't know. A driver could put in so much better input, but even I could just look at that and go, well, there's much better areas they could have gone to. They miss out an entire, the left-hander just before the main last section of the track, where it's a left-hander, then they go through the sweeping S's to the main straight.
Yeah.
There's a roundabout on the right of that left-hander that they just fucked off and ignored. Why didn't you use the roundabout as a nice hairpin? There's a bit more of a curvature to the road rather than straight turn, straight turn, straight turn, straight turn. Use some curvature. Curvature is a good thing. I know it's hard in a street circuit, especially Baku, because if you look at the rest of Baku, it's all very kind of American New York sort of grid style. But I feel like they could have tried harder to find some more interesting roads in Baku to use. It's not Baku itself. It's just the circuit. It's the circuit itself. I have no issue with going to Baku. It's just the actual track map itself. I just think they kind of went with on a map with those bobby pins. And just went, here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner, here's a corner. Yeah.
Well, that's Arav's rant about the Baku. He's let it all out there.
It got me heated when the Baku organiser went, it's very ignorant of whoever it was in Liberty Media to say that. It's no, it's not.
And then the castle section was okay, we're just going to put a load of bobby pins here in this one section. It's going to go bang, 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 bang through here. Just do a load of weird shit and see how that pans out.
Can't wait. To be fair, though, I can't wait till this year when Formula 1 does arrive back at Baku, because with the cars getting so bloody wide.
Oh,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ,
I saw that.
Are they going to manage it through there? They were struggling last year.
They will, but...
No, they'll make it. It'll just be quite tight.
They'll have to slow down even more.
Yeah, and we'll see probably... Well, I was going to say we'll probably see more incidents, just because... Obviously, all the drivers have had to, realise that, my car's a little bit wider, so I've got to give it a little bit more room either side. So we'll probably see a lot more crashes at street circuits.
I know this much. We're going to have to take easy in career mode this year.
Oh, God.
Yeah, the game. We're definitely going to have to.
So I think the next thing, because so many people surprisingly have been I've seen it, I don't know about YouTube, but in my comment section, so many people tweeting me as well, even though it's I really don't think it's a thing to really talk about for much more than a minute. But Force India chain delivery, Tom mentioned it earlier, to Pink, because of their new kind of major partner share sponsor on the car, BWT. Yep. So it's basically like a water treatment sponsor company, I think. And their theme is pink, because in DTM, Cal looked up a picture. They also have that same thing.
They sponsor
I like the
DTM
livery,
car.
I like the kind of little touch they did on the shark fin this time. It's not just so plain. Personally, I would have liked them to gone even harder on the pink and gone even more intense pink, because I think what's happened is I think they were scared about the reaction, so they went a little bit timid and kind of went half grey, half pink. I think if they went solid, intense, roaring pink, like JB's pink helmet when he went at Silverstone in 2014, if they went deep, deep pink, I think that could have looked like one of the best cars, like up there with Toro Rosso and like.
It's like you can't really take him seriously with the light pink. It feels a little bit childish.
Full on Kirby pink.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really like it.
I like
when
the scheme
it was
as it
released.
is. I just think it could have been even better with intense pink.
I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I don't know. It just reminded me a bit too much of like toys and Barbies and stuff like that, because obviously I used to play with them all the time when I was younger. But you know, I don't know. It just made it
that
kind
sort of like halfway.
didn't
silver
look like
pink.
a racing car.
Yeah, that sort of halfway silver pink made it look a little bit. Yeah, just not real in a way. But
Not
I think
But still, I like it. Like, it's a
intense
different colour. It's something different. I like
Oh
it.
no.
It is-
But for that
puts a
sense,
spin on the grid.
yeah. No, for that sense, yeah. I think I can already see a little bit of a problem with. Let's just say there's still quite a long way to go for the majority of motorsport fans. Catching up with the real world, in the sense I've seen a lot of different tweet reactions to it, and some of them just like, okay, a little bit, pop your joke, but basically just too much emphasis on, it's pink, so, I'm not going to say it, but you know where I'm going with it, but...
Yeah, I know what you mean, yeah.
Anyway, so that's the force in. I don't know why so many people are tweeting, like, what's your opinion,
The whole idea
car
and
livery.
route, the
I'll
whole
admit,
route around the idea of
it's nice
being
or
like
you either like it or not.
homosexual. Yeah.
I'll admit now, I am looking forward to this. You know, I remember when the lights are coming on, all the cars on the grid at Australia, you get to see every single car and all the colours on the grid. I'm looking forward to that.
great,
moment
great,
just to see
great.
it this
I like
season.
it. It's a nice little colour.
We're missing a green colour on there somewhere, and then it would have been completed.
Need Aston Martin. Aston
I am-
Martin.
Hashtag bring back Caterham.
I'm interested to see what this Force India car looks like in Singapore under the lights.
I think,
like,
I said that, but I think in the sun as well. It
I
looked
have
pretty
a
good.
hope that it turns deeper under like bright lights like that. But I also have a feeling it might not. It might go the other way and go more silver.
Oh no!
You know the
Could you
more
imagine?
intense, the intense silver and darker pink stripes they've got on there. I wish they'd put like glitter in those, just the stripes, so then that shines under the night. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. So that was Force India. I'm trying to think of like, were there any major other topics? There was kind of just small little bits and bobs, more like people just analysing what happened
we
in
mentioned
testing
before
more so.
about Ferrari Mercedes in terms of the race starts. Mercedes have adopted basically what Ferrari did last year, which is like the double 2-in-1 clutch paddle system. Whether it will be as effective as Ferraris or not, we don't know, but it's in an aid to try and aid their
it's
pretty poor starts they had last
an
season.
odd shape. It's like they've cut it out so like two of the driver's fingers slots into the gap, like they've molded it like to shape like an edge of a finger. So it's sort of like I don't know. Like the only thing I can think of is like it stops their fingers slipping off the clutch, and they get a bit of a better reaction of maybe jolting it off.
I wonder if that's a thing though. Maybe because obviously we have seen it before where like people can just use it, like the fingers can literally just slip off. Like I don't know whether that's more of a common thing or not, but maybe by moulding it in, you're less likely to slip off the clutch, you're less likely to jump start, or you're less likely to mess up.
Obviously, I think the starts are a huge thing, and that's going to be a key to that whole Ferrari-Mercedes dynamic at the very start. So yeah, maybe so.
Well, if there's anything to come out of 2016, it was Mercedes starts that needed to be fixed. If anything to do with that Mercedes package, it was the start. So at least you're trying to make some sort of I don't know the word, kind of a little bit of a step forward to try and fix that kind of department. But if I see Mercedes, well, like last year, with Ferraris going either side of the bloody Mercedes, I'll cry because Team Hamilton and everything.
Yeah. So I think that's pretty much it. I mean, like, little bits and bobs here about other teams. Like, it was more deeper analysis in terms of the media of testing too. But
Well,
really
Mana got released. Did you see the models?
Mana. I believe it was like the actual wind tunnel model is actually on auction now, so that they can pay back the initial investors. So it's pretty much completely rip. And at this point, Tom's crying. I still don't know why you had a soft spot for them.
No, I'm joking. It's calm.
But yeah, so they're completely like, they're selling off the assets now.
A true F1 fan has a soft spot for the low teams. Okay, I'll tell you now.
I have a soft
75% of
spot
fans
for
in
low.
F1
I can have
to this day have a soft spot for Minardi and Jordan still, okay? I'm telling you now. I had a soft spot for Force India when they were at the bottom.
I can have a soft spot for an underdog, but not when it's like it doesn't make any sense.
But I won't have a soft spot for Sauer because for some reason I just don't have that connection with him. It's different. It's just a different story.
Tom's life story.
So there's Tom on why he supports Manor. Related to Manor, Joran and Verne got signed to their WEC team as well. So that was,
he did. Yeah,
so they're still going strong in WEC. So that probably also says
he
a
got
lot
released
more
from
about
Ferrari. Did you know?
Huh?
He got released from Ferrari.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, that's because I don't know whether I don't think we have spoken about this on the podcast. Verstappen this year is VER, not VES. Because Verne obviously had that VER because he was a test driver, because he could have been substituted in, he wasn't allowed VER, so he had to go to VES, but now he can go back to what his dad had, and he's back to VER, so you'll notice that this year. Also, you'll notice that, have you noticed that the colours have changed, so McLaren are now orange. I'm not sure what, because I think McLaren and Force India, the little colour accent things, on the standings,
name tags they do in
the Force India and McLaren switch colours, but now I'm guessing Force India are going to change again and they're going to go pink. So that'll be nice, interesting to see. It'll be very colourful. It's going to be like what Tom said earlier. When it lands upon the grid, it's not going to be grey, silver grey. It's going to be at least
starting shot. Yeah,
it's going to be very, very colourful. It's going to be like a little bit of a rainbow going along that starting grid. It's just the fact that it's a little bit shorter.
But I think that's pretty much where we'll wrap it up then. So not much else really to say. So really now, just time to go and enjoy the Australian weekend coming up next week. I know everyone is very excited. It's going to be...
Get some early nights.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a very unpredictable one, I think, thankfully, hopefully. We'll see. We might be wrong. I mean, we might rock up to FP1 and then Mercedes finally turn up everything. We'll see. But obviously, we'll be back with a podcast for the kind of race review as soon as possible after the race has ended for that on Sunday. So we'll see you guys then for episode number 41. But this has been episode number 40. If you did enjoy it, leave a like. Let us know what you thought of anything of that in the comments below. If you're not do subscribe to this channel for the podcast. Check us all out. Links in the description and also Twitter above our kind of pictures, video feeds. Yeah. And also... I keep not mentioning it at the start, but it's because it's always there, like constantly rotating.
It's on screen.
But we're on SoundCloud. If you didn't know, there's also a link in the description. It's like the second line there, so you can't miss it. It's also been rotating the entire time while we've been talking, so that's why I kind of really never bothered to mention it because it's there in text. So yeah, but we're on SoundCloud. So if you do want to have us on the go, you can actually download the file onto your phone. So no matter what phone you have, you can download the audio and just play it through your kind of music player on your phone. So, but yeah, we'll see you guys then for the Australian Grand Prix race review. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Goodbye.